We don't need to itemize detail of them. Every once in a while, we may ask you a question if we need to drill down into something to make sure we have things on the return.
There's so many
properly.
times that people will bring us a huge bucket of receipts. It's like, man, we don't need the receipts. Hey everybody, this is Ray and Andrew here with REH CPA. Today we're going to go over what your CPA needs to prepare your 1040. We get new clients every year, and one of the first questions they have is, what do I need to provide you to get the tax return done? Andrew, you deal with this a lot. I think you'd be the best one to answer this question. What does somebody need to give you to get an actual 1040 individual tax return done?
Sure. So everyone's situation is different, so it's hard to have a blanket answer for everyone. But one thing we do in January of every year for our existing clients, and if you're a new client, we'll make sure you get one of these as well, but we send out tax organizers. And what this organizer is, it's really just a tool to help you gather your tax documents. It's also going to have, like if you have rental properties, side businesses, it helps you gather the information needed to that we'll need for those to prepare those schedules. But in general, be on the lookout for our tax organizer. Use it as a tool to help you gather your tax information. But first thing is, we're going to need everything that is form driven. All your sources of income that's driven off of a form. And what I mean by that is like your W-2s. Obviously, we need those. Your 1099 INT. That's for your interest income that you may get from a bank. If you earn more than, it's about $10, you should get a 1099 INT. 1099 DIVs for dividend income. Your year-end 1099 investment statements for like your brokerage accounts that you may have. Your 1099-R for retirement income, like if you're drawing retirement income, if you're retired, we need your 1099-Rs, right. Along with your 1099-SA, which is for your Social Security benefits. So most sources of income that individual taxpayers earn is there's going to be a form that goes along with it to tell us what we need to put on the return. So make sure you gather all of those tax documents. Most all of those should be mailed out by January 31st of every year. Right. So you should be getting those first week of February.
Now, what if they're like a small business owner, they've got a Schedule C? What do you want from them? Yeah,
so for our Schedule Cs, we need to know what your total income was, which oftentimes is on a 1099 NEC, which is non-employee compensation. It would be like if you were a subcontractor for someone, but you don't always get those. It depends on the type of income you're getting. We need to know what your income was, and then we need to know just a summary of what your expenses were. Now, we don't need receipts. We don't need bank statements. We just need to know in total what did you spend money on to produce that income for your business?
Right,
so,
itemized by
expense categories. Office expense, travel, insurance, repairs,
really
meals,
basic categories.
Basic categories. Again, these are all going to be listed on that tax organizer that we give you. So that tax organizer is going to have one column that shows you what you put for that business last year, and it's going to have a space for you to put what those expenses are going to be for this year. So the more you can follow that tax organizer, it just kind of it gives some. It formalizes the way we communicate with that information, because every client's a little different. Everybody has their own way of keeping track of expenses. So following that organizer is helpful. You don't have to use it, but it's helpful. But if you're going to do it, a different way, just make sure that your expenses are summarized in total. So we don't need to itemize detail of them. Every once in a while, we may ask you a question if we need to drill down into something to make sure we have things on the return.
There's
properly.
So many times that people will bring us a huge bucket of receipts. It's like, man, we don't need the receipts.
We
just need the summary.
Right.
You don't want me going through the entire bucket of receipts. That's way too.
It's
it's way too time consuming. You want to summarize it for us. Give us a nice, neat summary. But of course, if you need us to do the bookkeeping, we certainly can.
We can.
But that's usually done before the tax return and things like that.
Yeah, it's kind of tough to do all of that when it's time to do the return, just because there's a lot involved. We don't want to miss things. We want to make sure we're getting every deduction we can for you. So it is time consuming. So summarizing your expenses is very helpful when it comes to side businesses like Schedule C activities, as well as rental activities. Like if you've got real estate and you have rental activities, it's really the same thing. We need to know what your income was, and then we need to know what you spent money on for that rental activity, just in totals. So, it's good that you have receipts. Definitely keep your receipts, but we don't necessarily need them for the tax return preparation.
Awesome. How about people who itemize? What kind of documentation do they need to provide for you?
So again, it kind of follows the same suit. We don't necessarily need receipts, but we need like a total of your medical expenses. What did you spend on, the dentist, any medical care that you had for the year in total. Same thing with charitable contributions. We don't necessarily need to see each individual contribution statement that you got from the nonprofit that you might have donated to, but we need to know in total what you gave. We would need to know like cash contributions versus non-cash contributions, but things in total, that's really what we're trying to get at there as far as clear line of communication.
Awesome. Well, thanks for that explanation. It's certainly helpful. I'm sure people who are wondering what all they need to provide and how they need to provide it, that's definitely going to be helpful for them. But if you have any questions as far as like what else that we may need, just feel free to reach out to your tax preparer or.
Yeah, we're definitely here to help. If you need help figuring out what you need to give, definitely just call your CPA and they'll go through it with you and help you. But I don't want clients spinning wheels trying to figure out what they need to give us. The best thing to do is just give us a call and we'll help you work through it.
Awesome. Great. Thank you, Andrew.